Hey, what's going on, guys? It's your boy, NerdModon, and welcome to episode 13 of Sniper Sundays, a video series where I'll be using anything from DMRs to bolt-action sniper rifles and just kind of going over some information in relation to the item similar to a weapon review. So without further ado, let's jump right into it. So for this episode, we're going to be taking a look at the CS5. Now this weapon does have an effective rate of fire of 63 rounds per minute, which does make it the fastest rounds per minute alongside the Scout Elite when it comes down to it. Now this weapon also has a velocity of 400 meters a second without a silencer and 300 meters a second with a suppressor equipped. Now one of the very unique things about the CS5 is that the suppressor is actually designated only for this weapon and is actually configured only for the CS5 as well. Now of course, equipping the silencer on this particular weapon does give you some negatives when it comes down to the range and the effectiveness, but overall it's just something that's very unique about the CS5 and it's a characteristic that I thought about sharing with you guys. Now of course, transferring over to the damage model, this weapon does 100 damage up until 12.5 meters, and then of course after 12.5 meters you're going to see a gradual decline of the overall damage being outputted at range. However, once you reach 100 meters, the minimum damage that this weapon occupies is listed as 59. Now of course, let's take a look at the reload times as well as the magazine count to give you guys a better idea of how this weapon is going to perform, especially if you need to reload the magazine, or in many cases just how much ammunition is actually within those magazines. So starting things off, the magazine count for this weapon is listed as 10 rounds plus 1 in the chamber. Of course, you add those both together and you're going to have 11 rounds of total destruction. Now with that said, of course, your reload times are going to be clocking in at 2.7 seconds if you happen to have at least one bullet left in your magazine, as well as 4.6 seconds if you happen to expel all your ammunition within those magazines. But of course, when it comes down to the main gist of it, guys, this weapon does have the fastest rounds per minute alongside the Scout Elite, along with the fastest short reload of any of the weapons within its category. However, one of the most notorious flaws that this weapon occupies is the slowest velocity of all the weapons also within its category. Now of course, if you guys are interested, I could provide you guys with some customization recommendations to better outfit your guys' self on the battlefield. So of course, starting things off in the optics category, I always recommend using an optic that you guys are very accustomed to. It's not in your best interest to deviate too far from the original scopes that you commonly find yourself with, no matter which kind of a guide you watch on YouTube. If you guys have been having a lot of success with the 8x, I would still recommend to go along with the 8x. If you're an aggressive player and you like to use a Cobra or just a red dot sight by itself, then I would recommend using that. Transferring over to the accessories tab, I would either recommend going with the variable zoom, which increases your zoom levels to 14 times, which can be very nice, especially if you see somebody off in the distance that you traditionally cannot kill along with an 8x scope. However, if that does not sound too fancy to you, then of course I could recommend going with a rangefinder, considering that that provides you with information to become a better sniper by itself. Now of course, taking a look at the barrel attachments, I can only ever recommend going with the flash hider, considering that it has no negative side effects and it only provides you with benefits. And finally, taking a look at the auxiliary tab, this is really going to depend on what kind of a sniper you are. If you find yourself commonly in the background and maybe playing a little bit more of the protective role over the objectives, then I would recommend going with a bipod. However, if you find yourself being a lot more of an aggressive player and pushing onto objectives and using the environment to your benefit, then of course going with a straight pull is probably going to be a lot more beneficial to a player of your stature. But anyway guys, when it comes down to the main gist of it, I hope you enjoyed today's video and hopefully you found all the information useful in one way or another. And of course, if you guys would like to recommend a weapon for next week, feel free to let me know in the comments below, considering that I do take your submissions as priority 1. But until the next episode, guys, this has been NMO, and I'm going to be signing out. Peace.